So the WAC is now in Phoenix. How did this come about?
Tell you, it's been a long process. Alluded to it earlier today, but it really has. It's something that's been developing, quite frankly, over the last 2 or 3 years. I think Keith Baker in particular is probably tired of me telling him to be patient. But basically, the WAC is, I think people know, is in a transitional period. We're in a reinventing ourselves as a non-football playing conference, and where Grand Canyon comes into the picture, it's in a great location, has a commitment on the part of the administration to not only grow the university, but grow the athletic program. And as we reinvent the WAC and as we look to the future, we look at programs that have great potential. And I personally think, and I think our entire conference believes, that Grand Canyon is one of those schools that you sit down, if we're sitting here 10 years from now, when we look back, we'll think, hey, we made a great decision.
Well, and I would tend to agree with you on that. I came from San Diego when San Diego State was in the WAC. I did their games, and I saw how that has moved. All these conference movements, alignments, bigger fish swallowing up little fish, reinventing yourself is the right way to go about it. So who are the schools that are in the conference? My understanding is, so it's Seattle University?
It's Seattle. It's
Bakersfield?
It's Bakersfield. It's Utah Valley. And we're talking about next year now.
Yeah, next year.
University of Idaho, New Mexico State, and Grand Canyon.
Okay.
That's 6. And I would expect that we will be at 8 before all said and done. And I would say, when I say that, I think in the next, I would say 30 to 45 days probably, that we'll be able to make an announcement.
You looking west, or is this going to be one of those conferences where we say, why is San Diego State in the Big East? Why is Boise in a conference that's 3,000 miles away?
That's a really good question, and you have to remember, I've been in the WAC for a while. I've only been the commissioner for 7 months, but I've been in the WAC for a while, and we stretch from Hawaii to Ruston, Louisiana. That's about 4,000 miles or 4,400 miles or whatever it is. So I don't think we can limit ourselves to answer your question. Okay. I think we need to look Central Time Zone West. That's the way I would look at it now. I think in a perfect world, I'd love to be totally a Mountain Pacific Time Zone conference, but I don't think that's realistic. There simply aren't the numbers in this part of the country to get to where we want to get.
Is this the biggest media market that you're in, are going to be in, or do you see potentially some other larger markets?
I think potentially there's possibly other larger markets also, but I think my vision is that we are primarily a larger market conference rather than smaller market, and I think we need that for a lot of reasons. One, if you're gonna have a conference where you have distances or fairly great distances to travel, I think it's much easier to do that if you have cities that are easy to get to.
Yeah,
mileage isn't everything, but if you can get on a plane and get off it and not have to get on a bus and drive for a couple hours or something like that, it makes it a lot easier.
I remember doing a San Diego State at Hawaii game in basketball, and they weren't any good when I did their games, and they knew it. And the conference tournament was in Salt Lake City. So we played on a Sunday in Hawaii, got on a plane, flew to Salt Lake City, and had to play on Tuesday in the pigtail game. And I didn't know what hit me. I mean, I was like 5 time zones later. So I get what you're saying on trying to keep everything central. When you get a program like this and all the sports that are going to be going into Division I, are all these schools of the same number of sports? Meaning, are there 22 sports in all these schools along with GCU?
Not necessarily. I don't. What we're looking for is kind of a core sport number, and not everybody has the same sports, but we are looking for what we're going to sponsor as championships. It's important that they either have those sports or that they add them as we move on.
Good deal. I appreciate you coming by for a couple minutes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Enjoyed
it. Jeff Hurd, Commissioner of the WAC.